Hi guys, welcome back. Episode 0, just a little intro to the Baggio Il Viaggiatore Journeyman'S story here on the channel. So, how it's going to work is, we're going to start as Roberto Baggio, a pro licensed coach. He will have the top reputation, mainly because he's an ex-Ballon d'Or winner. He's had 56 caps for Italy. Bit of a legend, even though he's never managed before. So it'll be interesting to see where we pick up everything. It'll be his date of birth, his stats, even his face. We're going to try and make the 3D man look as much as like him as we possibly can. And then we will take it from there. I'm hoping to start in Italy, because I think that's probably more realistic where we would start. And then I'm aiming to sort of like go around the world, around Europe. I want to venture into South America because he's quite a keen follower of Boca. So I'm hoping at some point that I can dive into South America and become Boca Juniors coach. And then maybe look at English clubs. He was linked at QPR. He nearly signed for QPR back in 1998 in the winter. But because he was more worried about his team his place in the national team, so he decided to go to Bologna instead. So he stayed in Italy. So maybe QPR could be an opportunity that may hopefully come across at some point. I haven't really set any rules for the save. The only one that I'm looking at doing is how Baggio sets his teams up. So I'm looking at two tactics: a 4-3-1-2 with a trequartista either as the attacking midfielder or as one of the centre forwards. Mainly because it's quite an Italian style. He also had a famous quote, which will be up on the screen now, where he'd rather have 10 disorganised players rather than 10 organised runners or something. So I'm going to look to build a tactic, not so much an attacking one, but a controlled one with deep line playmakers, advanced playmakers, trequartistas, that kind of football. It'll be probably short, sharp passing with the opportunity to express themselves. The main reason Baggio never got into football management as such is because he didn't like how the coach's tactics evolved over the years. Everyone always says that Baggio was 10 years ahead of his time, whereas he was sort of like in the 90s where the Italian football was very tough. A lot of systems were rigid 4-4-2s and didn't suit Baggio's style of play. He was kind of a journeyman such. He had 7 clubs in his time, but he always moved on when the time was right. So the moment he wasn't getting the right amount of football, he was off no matter where it took him. So Bologna especially was a really strange move at the time, but it got him back on the map, and it ended up getting his season that he had with Bologna ended up meaning that he got a move to Inter, which was his childhood club. So Inter possibly, Bologna possibly, Brescia. He loved his time at Brescia, his last club. Loved his time at Brescia. I'm hoping at some point that we might pick up one or two of these Italian clubs along the way. Ultimate goals, we're looking at winning the World Cup with Italy. So if I ever take the national team job, it will be a side part of the series. I'm not going to resign and just become an international manager. But his biggest not his regret, he never regretted it taking the penalty, but the lowest part of his career was always the penalty miss, and it still haunts him, I think, to the day. Well, I know it does. The interview that I did a couple of years ago, it still haunts him to the day. And he actually took a penalty in the 1998 World Cup against Chile, and they called that the redemption of Pasadena because he scored. But I don't think that quite suited. He always talked about, as a kid, his dream was to win the World Cup. So that's his goal number 1. Can we win the World Cup with Italy? And number 2, it's just to try and become the highest rated Italian manager of all time in the FM rankings. I haven't even looked at the thing yet to see if that's even possible. I imagine they'll be with all the Capellos, the Sakis, Ancelottis. Who am I missing? I'm going to be missing someone big. I know I'm going to be missing someone big. Allegri, I suppose. He's probably racked up a certain number of points in the for Juventus. So there's going to be a lot of trophies that need to be won. I think we'll be able to find a half decent club, but I'm going to make sure that the first club isn't going to be an absolute monster of a club that, one of the top Italian teams that we're going to dive into straight away. Hopefully, I'm looking around a Serie A team still, but maybe a lower half of the league team. So that's it. Just a very, very quick introduction. The series, as I said, will come out 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning. We'll dive into it a little bit more. As the series develops, I'm going to put little quirky quotes in. There's so many quotes, so many people have spoke so highly of Baggio over the years. Zidane, Sacchi, Ancelotti when he didn't sign him for I think it was Napoli back in 19, or maybe Milan. Can't think, back in the late 90s when he ended up going to Brescia instead. So guys, we will see you 7 a.m. for the first episode of Baggio Il Viaggiatore. See you later.